Welcome, everyone. We're here for the Pro Trade Room Plus and the CPI report. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember all the trades we discuss for educational purposes. It is possible to lose money trading futures, so trade carefully, please. All right, let's get started. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the CPI report. So a couple of quick reminders. Don't forget that it is a margin scenario this morning. You've got the brokers increasing the amount of money that you have to have in your account to trade this report. Now, if you're an AMP brokerage customer, they are great. They send an email every time that they raise the margins, and then they send an email just to remind you that they've restored them back to regular. And the interesting thing about AMP is they don't raise their margins quite as high as Ninja brokerage does. So, but it is the way it is. The margins are increased. So you have to just make sure you have enough money, or it's possible that they will not allow the trade to trigger. Although we have seen the fact that they raise the margins make no difference also. So we've seen both outcomes take place with the brokers. But you have to assume that they're going to monitor the trades and not allow the higher amounts of contracts if you don't have enough money to cover it. All right, let's just take a quick look at the elements that make up the CPI report. I want to welcome everybody on YouTube also. This is our free streaming on YouTube. So hello, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button. That would be nice. And you can sign up by hitting the notification bell also, so you get notified when we're going to stream the next time. We stream once a week. So the big info we're looking for is the year-over-year CPI and the monthly and the core. So it has been dropping month after month for the past few months. Everybody's anticipating that this will not be a difficult report for the markets. That's the anticipation. You never know, though. So we'll certainly see what happens. And I'm going to keep my news off to the side so we can watch the charts. And let's take a look at the DMM this morning. So we've got a ZN setup, and we've got a gold setup. And last month, let's take a look and see what happened last month. Something unusual did happen last month. Is anybody having problems with the mic? Anybody having problems with the mic besides Arthur? Arthur, maybe try logging in and out of the room and see if that doesn't help. Because I've been using this mic every day almost. Okay. All right. Let's look at last month. I was watching ZF this morning. Some people traded ZF last month because it's only $6 and change per tick. It's 7 and change per tick. It's half of ZN. But I'll show you what happened last month. It's the proximity effect, Arthur. Everyone always said I had a big mouth, so it shouldn't be a problem. So it's always nice to have videos because we could see if we made any modifications to the setups. If you pay attention to the videos, you could also see that last month the margins were increased because we were looking at the margin, the amount of money you need in an account to trade. Hey, Ricardo, how are you? Nice to see you here. So we're looking at a video of last month's CPI report. So here's the bonds are on the left. Look at how difficult gold was last month. It had a very early pre-move, okay? This is more than a minute and a half before the news came out. Gold, gold opens at 820. The gold market opens at 820. That sometimes puts some volatility into the gold market, obviously. Bonds also open at 820. And you could see, though, let's see, it was a minute, we're almost a minute before the report. Gold was having a pretty strong moment. Quite an early move from gold. Maybe there was some good warnings about not trading gold that day. Sometimes when you get unusual moves before a report, it can be construed as a reason not to take the trade. If you get very unusual movement in an instrument before an event, before a news event, sometimes that is a reasonable, not excuse, but a reasonable choice to not take the trade. Because look at how gold moved prior to the news. It went down, it went up. It was showing signs of possibly being difficult to trade. Then our brackets. Well, we didn't have brackets because we weren't trading gold. We were just watching it. It had a tremendous move. It had a tremendous move. Now, on our bond trade, we did not get filled last month. We did not get filled. And there could be a variety of reasons why something like that would happen. Generally, it's because the market moved too fast and the orders just weren't available. When that happens, generally, we cancel the trade. Every now and then I've seen, I think only once, honestly, I've seen a no fill and then a delayed fill that turned into a very nice trade. That actually happened fairly recently, but most of the time when you don't get filled, it's a good reason to cancel the trade because your move is over. The move is over. So Second Wind on YouTube. You're Steve S, right? Am I losing my mind? You're Steve S? Second Wind? I forgot who you are. So we have 11 people watching on YouTube. this morning. It's early. People are starting to roll in. So hit the like button. Let me get at least 3 likes. Let me get at least 3 likes on YouTube. I'm not asking for a lot. So last month, definitely weird behavior from gold and no fill on bonds. And that's, doesn't mean anything like that is automatically going to happen today. But it's just something to be aware of, that this is potentially a very fast moving report. Now, our notes also say that quite a few people traded ZF last month and got filled, which is interesting. I'm showing that the liquidity on ZF is lower than on ZN, meaning there's less orders available. So how do you check liquidity, for instance? So if you open a dome, and put your instrument on the dome, ZN is on the right, and ZF is on the left. And it looks to me like there are more orders available for ZN, but both of them have what I would consider strong liquidity. Pretty good liquidity. There's a lot of orders available. So that's one way that you can look and see the actual orders that are out there. And that is a feature of the data that you buy, right? And if you don't buy the most expensive data, then you don't see the liquidity. Now, we have multiple accounts. So in one of our accounts, we don't buy the liquidity, and in another account, we do. So I hope that makes sense. Okay. So we're going to look at bonds for our trade this morning. So I'm going to right-click the chart, and I'm going to click on JOBB version 10. We have a breakout trade, and it's a 829.59. $829.59, and we've got a bracket. Actually, I'm going to use a bracket of 7. And I'm going to look for a first target of 7 ticks, 15 ticks, and 24 ticks. Most folks are probably trading 2 positions, targets of 7 and 25. I would expect not to hit that 25. Certainly not instantly in a burst. I don't think it'll burst quite that large. Our trigger is 829.59 on activate time. Breakout trade, bracket of 7. I'm trading 3 positions, which I usually do on this report. And then I'm going to make sure, of course, that my account warnings are off. Account warnings down here under optional. It's just a safety feature that if you're trading live, it'll ask you if you're trading live money. And then I'm going to use the label under setup to just say bonds, okay? And then I'm going to click on apply and template and save. And then I'm going to save this template so I remember how I traded it. CPI ZN, trading bonds, and I'm going to date it today. That saves my trade setup. Also, I'm going to put my time on 0, right? Why am I going to put my time on 0? We want to make believe the time of the trade has already passed us by, so we could see how wide the brackets are on the chart. In sim, you don't want to do that when you're live, so you don't accidentally get pulled into the market. It could happen. You want to be careful. So the width of that bracket is very nice. It's a good width. So now I'm going to go back to the strategy and put my time back to 8:29:59, the correct time. So I can then put my charts on the account tab under setup. I'm going to choose our real account, apply it and okay it, put my charts on live, real money, and then enable the trade. So now my logo shows up and my trade is actually now set up. And I can put my time back on. And we're going to go to a website called time.is to check that our computer is in sync. Time.is. Time.is. My time is exact. That tells me that my computer is in sync. So today, my computer is in sync, ready to trade when the news comes out. Now the gold market's getting ready to open. It's interesting, the bonds open too. So we have a gold setup. If you're trading gold, we have a bracket of 20. Now I'm not trading gold. I'm not setting it up. I just want to concentrate on bonds. But our gold setup is a bracket of 20, and we're recommending 8:30 on the time, 8:30. 8:30 on the trigger time. And you have targets of 10 and 29 and a stop of 30. Bracket of 20, activated 8:30, targets of 10 and 29. And those targets can be 10 and 40 if you wanted to, or 10 and 60 almost. It's going to be a big move. Should be a very big move on gold. And you can trade micro gold also. I'd probably increase the stop by 10, 40. Now, something to keep in mind, like we said, don't forget about margins. In order to trade full-size gold, so what does margins mean? So if you're trading a cash account, like many traders are, the brokers have rules about how much money you need to have in that account. Let's watch that gold open at 8:20 first. Sometimes when there's important news, the gold open can be muted. But honestly, I haven't seen a lot of muted gold opens lately. Gold's been opening pretty in a tradable manner is the best way I would say it. So right now the gold market is opening, and usually it creates a move in the instrument, the open does. Right at this moment, it's a little bit quiet. And then what I was saying, sometimes you see a quiet open, especially when there's major news 10 minutes later. So it's kind of a quiet open. A couple of extra tools that I'm using in my headset. I'm listening to Financial Juice Pro, which is a news website that we pay for, and they have a squawk box, and they talk the news results, and that talking of the news results goes in my ear. It goes in my ear. So if investing.com, for whatever reason, if they don't get the news result on the website, then I still will have a good idea of what the news results are, even if we can't see them. So what do I mean by that? Even if we can't see them, usually we keep investing.com as part of our charts. Investing.com is another news website calendar, and we'll be getting into the calendars today in class. But it's another calendar that after the news comes out, they put the news results on the calendar. So it's a very nice feature. And they do it in real time. Usually they do it so you don't have to press any buttons or you don't have to refresh the screen. So that's investing.com. Usually I keep it on the screen, integrated into the charts, but because a lot of people probably are trading gold, we like to watch gold. I don't want investing.com to block my gold. In theory, I could do this. We could do this. And this. That's what I'll do today. We'll watch gold. So we checked our time sync. The final element is the brokers have high margins today. So for theoretical sake, if you were trading the ES, when we put a breakout trade on, a bracket trade, it's 2 contracts, so it's double margin. Price above you have a target above and below the current price. So that counts as 2 contracts. So we have to double our margin. So in theory, if you were trading the ES, you need almost $25,000 in the account, 24.6. If you trade the MES, you need approximately 3,000 in the account, would make sense. MNQ, 3,600 to 4. You should have at least 4,000 probably in the account. So margins are up. The instruments that we trade, gold and bonds, ZN is 2,300 per contract. So let's say you're trading 2 contracts. So let's say that's 2,300 times 3. So let's say $6,900. You need more than that. You should at least have $1,000 cushion, really more, even more than that, to allow for the trade to be positive and negative above the margin, above and below the margin. If you, in theory, if you have exactly the amount of margin money required, in theory, if the trade went $1 profit or let's say $1 negative, it's if you're losing money that margin comes into play. The concept of margin is the broker wants you to be able to cover the risk of the trade. So if they determine that the risk is $2,000 per contract and you're trading 3, you should have $6,000. But you should have more because you have to cover the variation in price while the trade is going on. Okay? But bonds, to give you an idea, ZN is 2,310 per contract. And then gold is 9130, 9,000. So gold is expensive to trade. And then micro gold is 913 per contract. It's 1/10. And what AMP does, AMP, which is a different broker, there's a few people still trading with AMP as their broker. AMP does 25%. Whoops, AMP does 25% of the margin. So they require less. John, they say that they're changing margin approximately 10 minutes before the event. And then they say they're putting the margin back approximately 10 minutes after. I'm going to check my time sync one more time by going to the website time is, and it's actually showing my sync is off. We're very close to the trade. So I did something in the background. I have a program called Dimension that I ran in the background that put my computer in sync, Dimension 4. And I'll show people after the trade. We have a couple of tools that you can download. They're part of our trade room. But let's get ready and watch, because this event is getting ready to trade. So we've got gold on the right. We have bonds on the left. I'm thinking we'll have good news. Inflation will be continuing to moderate. There's a very strong support area for bonds. Right below, do you see the open from 6 p.m., the low, and the PP pivot? That's a very, very strong area of support. I wouldn't be surprised if price bursts down to there on this report. That would not surprise me. That would not be a surprise at all. All right, so we're waiting. We're 35 seconds away. Gold, again, moving a lot before the report. That's why we have a pretty big bracket. Here comes the bracket for bonds. So I wound up having a flat trade. Oh man, I'm so impatient, folks. So impatient. So impatient all the time. I moved my target. Moved my target. Look, the news was negative, or they're claiming it's negative. It's really not negative news. Inflation is down. Inflation is down. Okay. Now I'm frustrated because I know better. I know better. I should have just left my stop alone. We'll watch the video and I'll show you what I did. I pulled my first target into the price because we just didn't get a huge burst in bonds and I had slippage. In other words, I can see that I got filled towards the top of the move, but I needed to be patient, and I'm so impatient so many times. Let's look at the news result again. Let me fix that. Let me fix that. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'm screwing up my news. Let me fix it. I did not watch the beginning of the gold move. So people are reporting in that they made money. That's very good. I definitely was way too aggressive on my stop, too aggressive on moving my stop too soon to safety. And that caused me not to make money. I didn't lose money, but I didn't make money because it hit my first target, which was small, and then pulled back. I'll show you the video of that. I want to get the news up. So the news was actually good. Even though it's red, it's not bad news. It's good news. The numbers are lower. That's not bad news. That's good news. CPI was lower all across the board. All the reports were lower. Only the index was a teeny bit higher, and that does not have an effect. That does not have an effect, really, on this report. The major news, inflation is still moderating, all right? We're still moderating on inflation. As a roll call, it looks like anyone that traded made money. Dan made 375. Fred made 55 on ZF with one contract. Sally traded gold 340. Roz 79 on ZF. So let's take a look at the video and I'll explain what not to do. Don't forget to uncheck your box. Uncheck your box. Well, what we're seeing is something very common. If the news is, well, you know what, let me take that back. This is good news and bonds are going up and gold is going up. That's not usually the way that those instruments move. Usually, when there's good news, gold and bonds go down, okay? Let's take a look at the ES. The markets love this news, okay? The markets are up on the news. ES looks like it had an excellent move also. Let's take a look at the video. We can analyze what happened. So give me a second. Lou made 210. So if you made money, just type in if you traded live or simulated. That's one thing we'd like to know. If it's live or sim. Live or sim. Lou is always live on these trades. Thank you, Lou. And let's see, CPI. ZN was live, Dan. Beautiful, Dan. Dan's in our challenge. Dan's not even a member, and he made $375. Good for you. Doc, 220. Do you all know how to send me a picture, a screenshot of your winning trade? I'd like you all to send me a screenshot of your winning trade. Sally, 133.75 on ZN. Yep, Ricky, remember what we said yesterday, that margin might stop you from trading. We knew that that was a possibility. So they got you. They got you. It's not fair that they raised the margin on this event. Yes, it's volatile, but it's not off the wall, out of control. It's really not. It's not, you know, it moves quickly, yes, but it's been a manageable trade. It really has been a manageable trade. I don't think it's fair that they raised the margin. Okay, let's look at the video. Oh, great trade. Great trade, Langford. Very nice. So I'm glad to see that most people did not do what I did. Okay, you don't. Trade management can absolutely affect whether you made money. And I managed myself out of the trade. All right, let me show you what not to do. What not to do and why. And there's a reason why. So let me show you the video. First, we'll look at, let's just take a quick look at gold. Most people did not trade gold. All right, so here's the moment of the event, right here. Gold had quite that gold. I think it would have been not an easy trade. Not easy. It was very, very, very fast. Very, very, very fast. Okay. Langford, you had no problem with gold. I increased the bracket this month. I'm very, very glad I increased the bracket. So I think that probably helped with gold. Let's watch ZN. ZN had a good move. It was choppy to start like it always is. Okay. Watch ZN on the left. Watch ZN on the left. Brackets. Now, there was a fair amount of slippage. Why do I say that? Because look where I got filled. All the way up the candle. All the way up the candle. So I pulled my target down, and then I shrunk my stop, and it pulled back enough to hit my stop, and that caused my trade to exit flat. My stop was under where I entered the trade. So I was too aggressive in moving my stop. I could have just moved it and left it right there. That's what I should have done, is left it right there. But see, I moved it too close to the current price. It pulled back, but then bonds went on their merry way. Why? It's really not because of the news today. The news says red, but I explained why it really should be green for good news. Green for good news. It shows as red because the numbers are lower, but lower inflation means better news. That's good news. That's what the Fed wants. Lower inflation. Wow, Larry, really nice trade. 1185, Larry. Look, folks, what do we teach here? Why is this so interesting? Larry made more money on the NQ. He traded the NQ and made over $1,000 on the NQ. Larry, what was your trade setup on the NQ? NQ 0923. The point of what I'm saying is, Larry, yes, he's an experienced trader, but he's also using our advice, our software, his knowledge and our knowledge to design his own trade. Larry designed his own trade. Okay? So that's very awesome. NQ looks like it had a spectacular move also. Great move. And remember what we've been saying, there's always more on a report this important. There's many, many, many instruments that will move. If you look at the euro, I guarantee you the euro futures moved 6E0923. Everything had a spectacular move this morning. It was just good news across the board. Good news across the board. Gold moved 165 ticks. The ES moved 100 ticks. Let me make a couple of notes of that. That's great information, Chantal. Chantal, for folks that are new, works for us and is our number one tester. Number one tester. NQ. What about ZN, Chantal? 430 ticks on the NQ. That's insane, folks. ES 100. If you think I'm not embarrassed over mismanaging my trade, I am. But remember what I said in class yesterday. It won't be the first time. It won't be the last time. We do so many reports. See, bonds had the worst move, only 32 ticks, but that's actually a lot of ticks for bonds. That's a big move. That's a big move. Very big move. So, very nice, Larry. So Larry used a bracket of 20, targets of 100 and 200 on the NQ, and a stop of 40. So Larry, maybe we will create an NQ trade for next month, or at least remind people what you did, because that's a great trade. And it looks like today, all the instruments had really safe, excellent moves. Now, you really have to do a little bit deeper looking than just looking at a 1 minute chart. But just from all the money that people are reporting, we know that the moves were pretty safe, okay? Now, one very important thing, everyone that's trading, Dan, anybody that's new, a lot of folks are new, Ricky, Sally, make sure that in your Ninja Trader, you go to New, and you go to Ninja Script Output, and it'll open what it looks like a chart, and now it'll have a whole bunch of text in it, most probably. Or yours might be blank. Yours might be blank. Let me do it again. This is very important. Go to New. Anybody that's trading with us, this is for everybody, especially new people. Go to New, go to Ninja Script Output. This chart, this, whatever you want to call it, I call it a chart, should be minimized and saved as part of your trade room workspace. So make sure that you have a trade room workspace and you save it, okay? I have a trade room workspace. It's the same as the workspace I had up there. I was showing people how to save a workspace in class. But as part of my workspace, the Ninja Script Output is very important. Why is it important? Because after a trade, it shows everything that the software tried to do. So if there's ever a problem and we need to analyze what the software tried to do during your trade, you could highlight the text and email that text to us. So everybody should always have that NinjaScript output screen saved as part of their trading workspace. Okay? If you made money live, take a picture of your control panel, your chart trader, and send us the amount of money you made. All right? Do you know how to take a screenshot of your screens? You could search for the snipping tool. That's one way. And then click on it, and it will open a little window that looks like this. You click new, and then hold down your left mouse button while you highlight the area you want to make a picture of. And then it'll come back, and you can right click it, save as, give it a name, and then you can send us that screenshot. help@10minutetrades.com. You can post a screenshot in here if you want. I can grab it, and then we can let other traders know that folks made money on the trade. Not a good reversal at all today, Steve. Not a good reversal at all. Definitely not a trap trade today. Not a trap trade. Okay? Who's got questions? Who's got questions? So Ricky, that's funny that you wound up, you got to be careful that's why you got to be careful when your margin is in question, right? The other thing, Dan made a comment, I could get used to this. Definitely, but don't just remember not to get cocky. Not every trade is an easy instant winner. Be aware, some trades you'll have to manage your way out of. I'm not trying to pour water over a fantastic event. Don't get me wrong. Okay, Chantal, I want to thank everybody on YouTube. Steve S., I believe you can come into the trade room. Didn't you update to the trade room, Steve, or am I wrong? Maybe not, but either way, Steve, it's good to see you on YouTube. Thanks, everybody on YouTube. This was our stream of the week. I'll see everybody on YouTube next week for our stream of the week. Next week, not sure what it is yet. Maybe Netflix earnings. So have a good rest of your day on YouTube. Chantal, you could close our stream. And then for trade